A lot
Have
more.
you seen the thing where the actress who plays Nessa is being harassed?
Because I don't think people realize that she's really in a wheelchair. And so when you make jokes directed at the character who's in a wheelchair, it applies to the actress who's in one. And I think they're confusing that,
I like her.
Wait, what are they saying about her?
Steph, is it in your feed?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, cool.
Some low-hanging fruit jokes that you would make about people in wheelchairs if they said something you didn't like or something.
It's not that. It's that she doesn't mind the jokes that people are making. It's a hard stop when you make a joke about Nessa Rose, who is a fictional character, make jokes about her being in a wheelchair and saying that like she can't stand up for her sister, or she just sat there, or I wish Elphaba would have just pushed her, I wouldn't have helped her, things like that. Those aren't jokes that the actor is approving of. And that's not directed. Some of them are directed at, well, kind of like they're in her feed. But she's just like, I don't like these. And she actually this is pulled from TikTok, and on TikTok, she is sort of scolding you for making
but the jokes are about the character though, right?
Yeah, they're about the character. Yeah.
She should either not pay. Look, I get death threats. So she should either not pay attention, right? Like we all, or, I mean, it is what it is. People are going to be horrible and people are going to misconstrue.
But they're not even making jokes about her. They're making it about the character she's playing.
Yeah. A very small minority of people are coming to her page, and I guess she said some of her friends' pages. So like that small minority of people, yes, you're not supposed to do that. But the jokes aren't being, the majority of the jokes that I've seen, at least, aren't being directed at her. It's directed at Nessa Rose, the character that she's playing.
So this is a Rose Tigo thing all over again, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's this is from Steph's X feed at My Nerdy Home. You need to follow her. She's on top of all of it. And here's a video. We'll play a little bit. It's like 4 minutes, a little long, but we'll play some of this from the actress herself. But these are some of the memes that have been posted. So I think the actress did a really good job, and her fate in part 2, I think people are I'm not gonna say anything.
That might be changed, by the way. If you've seen one of her interviews, I'll send it to you. No. Yeah.
What?
Really?
No, I actually think it's perfect, but oh man. Okay. Well, let's watch this here.
Hey. It's basically been a week since Wicked came out. Exciting. I've liked seeing people's reactions. All the love for the movie. I'm a fan, obviously. But there's something that's made me a bit uncomfortable. And as somebody who's disabled with the platform, I just wanted to talk about it really quick. Starting off by saying 2 things. I have my laptop here. By the way, I'm reading my thoughts because I get scatterbrained, and if I don't have my thoughts on a paper. Anyways, it is absolutely okay to not like a fictional character. I am going to be admitting my bias in the way that I have a lot of different feelings on Nessa than a lot of you do, and that's totally fine. I think Nessa's complex. But that's the beauty of art and Wicked. These characters and the movie wouldn't be what it was if there weren't different opinions on the characters and who's truly Wicked or not. And not liking Nessa herself is okay. Because she is fictional. That's totally fine. Number 2, I am a deeply unserious person. I love a little jokey joke. The house jokes, silly, goofy, harmless, because the basis of the joke is fictional. Jokes about Nessa's actions or personality, silly, goofy, because she herself is fictional. That being said, and if you are looking for the comments in my comment section, I've attempted anyways to delete most of them. Aggressive comments and jokes about Nessa's disability itself is deeply uncomfortable because disability is not fictional. At the end of the day, me, Marissa, is the person that is still disabled and in a wheelchair. And so it is simply a low-hanging fruit that too many of you are comfortable taking. Before even being cast in Wicked, I had received comments just as me, as Marissa, not Nessa, around the words of stand up for yourself. I guess you can't stand him, etc. These comments aren't original. And when these jokes are being made by non-disabled strangers with a punchline of not being able to walk, it very much feels like laughing at rather than laughing with. And I'm literally shaking a little bit. The most frustrating part about all of this is how scared I am to even post/talk about this, which is also the bigger reason as to why I'm making this video in the first place. This goes so far beyond me, Marissa, just needing to ignore comments on the internet. These comments do not exist in a vacuum. Aggressive comments of wanting to cause harm and push Nessa out of her wheelchair, or that she deserves her disability, are two very gross and harmful comments that real disabled people, including myself, have heard before. I am scared also because I have seen firsthand what has happened to my disabled peers who are outspoken online when it comes to calling out ableism, and why jokes of standing and being a vegetable, which is a derogatory term, by the way, for disabled people, and a comment that I saw about Nessa. These disabled creators' comments are flooded with ableist comments. When speaking on ableism, they're told to just take a joke, and that they're asking for too much and to stop complaining, to the point where some of my disabled peers, these disabled creators, have needed to take a break online for their own mental well-being. To state the obvious, that's not good. To wrap this up, because it's been a long one, rather than dismissing one another and claiming an experience can't be true because you personally don't feel that way about a joke that wouldn't have affected your demographic anyways, listen to the people or to the person that it is affecting and how it makes them feel. Thankfully, I'm at a place in my life today where I can recognize these jokes about disability are made out of ignorance. I couldn't say the same about Marissa 10 years ago, and it would have affected younger me a lot more. And I'm worried that a younger version of myself is somewhere on the internet and is harmed by these comments. And I'm not claiming to speak for the whole disabled community when I'm saying this, and I'm not trying to, but I do know and have seen, not in this specific instance, but similar comments be made on my disabled peers and disabled creators' videos, to the point where, again, it runs them off the internet. That's not good. Please be kind. And lastly, I want to say one of the major themes within Wicked is having the ability to listen and to understand one another. And I truly hope that is something a lot of you can practice more and take with you. Thank you. Love you. Bye.
The only reason I have a problem with this is because she's saying that like the jokes about the house falling on Nessa is fine because she's fictional. It's totally cool. The jokes about her personality are fine. It's funny because she's fictional. But the jokes about ableism, the jokes about her being in a wheelchair aren't okay because that's not fiction. But it's like, wait, personality traits aren't fictional either. The character of Nessa is fictional. So like all of these jokes aren't directed at her. And the only reason she's making this video is because by the small chance someone, in a wheelchair might see them and feel bad about themselves. So because of that, there's a small chance that might happen. You're not allowed to post any jokes. Those aren't funny. I don't like them. I don't agree with them.
Look, I get what she's saying. And I'm not, normally when I see these kind of videos, it kind of, makes me bite my lip a little bit, but I get what she's trying to say. And honestly, out of all of the videos where morons post videos where they're, complaining about the fans, I feel like her post was very genuine, right? I do feel like it's genuine. And I get what she's trying to say. The problem is, I think she's too grown at this point to not realize that there's awful people on the internet. There's awful people on social media.
Just out of ignorance. Just out of sheer ignorance.
Social media is a cesspool. Okay. Like she should know this already. Like, yeah. I get what she's trying to say. And honestly, and I do feel for her, right? I do kind of feel for her a little bit, but I think she needs a way tougher skin, man. Especially if she's going to be in Hollywood, where even able-bodied people are chewed up and spit out. She has to be a lot more tougher than this.
Yeah, who is that internet celebrity that doesn't get negative comments? was the name of that person?
Nobody.
Right. Oh no, I think Keanu
Again,
Reeves
they're
is
not
the
even
only one.
talking about her though. They're talking about her character.
Right.
So it's not,
Right.
she's not getting harassed. It's people not. It's people's
Also,
reaction.
Steph, she's in a
to
wheelchair
her
and people are saying
character.
wheelchair
Yeah,
jokes.
it's
She
people's
thinks that's
reaction to the
inappropriate.
character.
No,
I'll say this: of all the responses to things like this or other previous situations like this, I think this is a fairly classy response. He didn't go hard on fans, and I happen to think I have more than a few friends that are disabled in different ways. Okay, so I think about this. Our
but did it
friend
need
of
a
the show,
response?
Jenny Gold is a friend of the show. She is paralyzed from the neck down. She makes movies. She directs indie movies, and she has such a great spirit. I would just be horrified if she was hurt in that way, but she has a sense of humor. I think the best way to handle this is humor, and she didn't really go hard after people. So I think, look, she's no Rachel Zegler. Okay, Rachel Zegler acts more of a victim than this actress, who I think did the best. She felt the need to address it, and I think she did it in the best way that you could do. So, and I think for the most part, I think the people who post comments like that are kids, 11-year-old kids that shouldn't have a social media account, that like don't know how to talk to real people,
or just teenagers.
Yeah. Script. Thanks for joining us. Rob, you look like you're chomping at the bit.
No, I mean, I just think that unfortunately, I think one of the great plagues of the modern age that has been completely exacerbated by social media is that when people don't have to stand face to face with another person, they're emboldened to say all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And it has fostered a culture of disrespect across the board. There's no respect for teachers. There's no respect for parents. There's no respect for anybody that has any knowledge or more knowledge than, say, you do. And I think that it's detrimental across the board. But what's so fascinating to me is that, look, even as a small child, I was always grown up. My parents were always teaching me empathy. And somebody that is confined to a wheelchair, and I've had friends that are, and I've had audience members who watch my show who are severely disabled. And they've often said to me, thank you for providing an environment where I feel I can come and be welcome. And we tend to, just because someone's in a wheelchair, that doesn't mean there's something necessarily wrong with them. I mean, physically, they have obviously an impediment, but maybe they were in an accident, or maybe something happened or maybe they were just born that way. And what's wrong with having a little bit of empathy and be thankful that you get to be in a world where you are ambulatory. I just think that, what she did, like you said, Chris, she was really classy. And I do think that there should be pushback for people who are assholes.
Did she even have to acknowledge it? Is every actor and actress now going to talk about the horrible things people say and say what specific things people are allowed to joke about or not? My ultimate point is, who says we don't have empathy? We just don't need to acknowledge every time a piece of shit on the internet says something we don't agree with. If I had never heard this story, I would know none of this was going on. It's this to me is almost just, might as well just come out ahead of like Riva does with Lucasfilm and say that, hey, people online are going to say things that are bad and just paint the whole internet as people are saying. No, bad people say bad things. That's not the fans. It's just what happens in every bit of, and you are right, Rob. It is across the board. People say things that they would never say to your face. Yeah. But 20 years ago, I didn't hear celebrities talking about the mean emails they got, or before that, you know what I'm saying? Just ignore those people.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, as someone who has been online
from the beginning,
and was on, look, I had a TV career, whatever. You wouldn't believe the shit people would say. I had one guy who started an email account called Chris Gore is fat at hotmail.com. And I remember I got this like a series of, so I've been harassed and I've learned ignore it. Set phasers to ignore, and or what I used to do. I don't do this anymore, but I would quote tweet the person and just with a snarky response, and then let my people in the comments like go after them. But that's not a good idea either. I just ignore. And when you ignore it, then people just stop. So, or get bored. If you feed a troll, they don't go away. Don't feed the trolls is what I'm saying. Final comments before we move on. We have so many news stories.
Well, I just wanted to support what you guys are saying is that she was quite diplomatic with it.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, and I might get some pushback from this, but I think it was kind of fair to what Ewan McGregor said, because if you listen to what he said the people that would be bullying Moses for the things that they're said would not be a Star Wars fan. And I think everybody here would agree with that. If you were to bully Moses Ingram for her looks and for things that have nothing to do with her performance or whatnot, that's not really indicative of what a Star Wars fan does. If you criticize about her character, he never pushed back on that. He never said.
Why'd you have to bring up Ewan McGregor, who fucking was forced to do that, and he was painting all the fans that way?
No, he wasn't. You think he was?
Yes, he was.
You have
God damn, that was
comprehension skills.
The psyop, and they did that shit on purpose. Is what they do. It's why. God,
well,
I specifically brought it up.
It's
the weaponized using of it, and then you use it as a fucking thing. Yeah, she had a very classy. It seems like natural response. Yeah. Ewan's was not classy or natural. They told him, and he didn't even see what was said. And by the way, receipts, please. If you come out, I'd at least love the receipts.
Receipts would be great. In fact, I mean, what did she say that she had to delete some of them off of her social media? Not.
How can we judge it if it's deleted?
Exactly. Not a smart move.
Well, I'll just say also
what the words are being said. If they say, like, you know, if you are behaving that is uncommon towards the Star Wars fans or any type of fandom, you're clearly not a fan. You're a troll. That's what they're saying. And
but again, the most important
than admitting you're a troll and not a fan.
The most important part of this is the fact that they were talking about her character.
Yes.
They were talking about the character, not her at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'll just say also, just tone matters. And when I see this actress who I think did a great job with Nessa, she's great in the movie. Part 2 is going to be rough, but I thought her tone was really measured and calm. When I see other actresses, Rachel Zegler, we're reviewing her new movie this Friday, Y2K. When I see Zegler, she seems mean and spiteful and ungrateful. And you can tell in the tone of voice. And then the woman who played Nessa seems perfectly, and she even had to write it down. She was calm and she was even kind of nervous about it. You know, she just seemed way more authentic than a Rachel Zegler. I think Zegler may be the worst. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just have I don't know. She just, she needs to try and maybe separate herself a little bit more from Nessa, the character, because that's where these jokes are being aimed at, is Nessa, the character. And there are ways to not be able to see anything like that. She can limit her comments and she can turn them off.